Hello, my name is Lucy Young. I'm a senior at North Crowley High School, and I have anxiety. And I know that's a weird way to introduce yourself, but I feel as though it is important. Since looking at me, you probably would never know that it is hard for me to make eye contact during conversations, that I don't enjoy going to large social functions that I have no control over, or that I had to practice what I'm going to say to an adult that I need something from before I'm able to walk up to them. And before you begin making suggestions, I have openly discussed this with my parents and know it has nothing to do with my phone. My anxiety is real. It is not for attention nor for wanting to be dramatic or my parents' favorite excuse, hormones. The subject of mental health in teenagers, especially those entering, currently in, or leaving high school, is highly undiscussed and not to mention highly misrepresented. In a report published in 2016 called A Silent Epidemic, the Mental Health Crisis in Our Schools, National Public Radio reported that in 2013, the CDC found that 1 in 5 of the 50 million students enrolled in public schools shows a sign of a mental health disorder. That's about 5 million students. And of those, 80% will not seek any form of treatment. According to Polaris, a mental health facility in California found that 11% of adolescents and teens had experienced at least one depressive episode in 2018. Moreover, 1 in 3 adolescents met the criteria for an anxiety disorder before they were 18. So when I walk around my school and see posters in black and white of kids leaning against a wall holding their heads with big bold letters that read, "This is what depression looks like," I feel frustrated and angry because depression doesn't look a certain way. It affects people in different ways and doesn't gravitate towards a certain type of person. And it's not safe to assume that everyone who sits by themselves at lunch is feeling lonely or isolated. Someone could be cracking jokes and going to the mall with friends, but at the end of the day, they could feel so alone and no one would ever know. We live in a time where kids are being taught that school is not a safe place. Not only are we required to know the plan in the event of a fire, but we must know where to hide in the event of an active shooter. And while I am not here to argue the topic of guns, there is a certain level of fear and anxiety that comes with being in school. We've all come up with ideas of what we would do if there were to be an active shooter. But at the end of the day, we don't share these feelings. We continue to live our lives and put on a brave face so that we aren't compared to the kids on the poster. That's what makes mental illness so difficult. Kids go undiagnosed and left feeling as though their feelings should be hidden because they don't resemble the kids on the posters. The fear of not being cool enough or being made fun of by friends because you need to see a therapist in order to talk about how some days you don't want to get out of bed is what is hurting this current generation of teens. So if I could change something in my school, I would add an on-site therapist for us to talk to. And while this may seem a little extreme, this could be the step to preventing one kid from shooting up the school or having a mental breakdown in the middle of the school day. When looking at the website Thurvo, a site dedicated to helping people find qualified professionals, the average therapist in Fort Worth can range anywhere from $60 to $250, depending on your insurance. Therapy is not a profession to be taken lightly, as professionals sift through dozens of cases by day, but neither is mental health. I would rather donate to a program that makes sure my child is not having a psychotic breakdown than paying for every student to have a Chromebook. The program would not cost the students a dime and would be completely voluntary. The money for this program would come from money that is spent on items around the school that are not as vital as this treatment. Items such as giant flat screen TVs in the hallway, that most likely equivocates to $1,000 for the treatment. The money that was spent at my school to provide every student with a planner could pay for a significant amount of this greatly needed treatment. In my school district, we partner with the Chisholm Trail Education Foundation to provide schools and Crowley ISD grants for after-school activities and in-school resources. A grant of $5,000 is the necessary backbone for this program. Another big question is how would this benefit students going forward, especially those about to graduate? High school seniors face a large amount of pressure, not only from school, but now from their potential colleges and universities. Having to continue to rise above the standard is filling us with extreme amounts of stress and anxiety, causing us at times to put ourselves last to the growing list of things that are required of us. Seniors could utilize this therapist to identify ways to handle stress and to determine if they have mental health challenges that colleges or jobs should know about. The kid who was once at a C average could bump up to a B average just from talking with someone on how he isn't sleeping. No person's mental illness should be labeled as an inconvenience or made out to be a ploy for attention. Depression and anxiety are the silent killers of today's generation, and if we don't do something now, it may be too late. How can I be a leader of tomorrow if I can't even manage to handle today? So again, my name is Lucy Young. I'm a senior in high school, and while I may not look like the kids on the posters, I have anxiety.